Be 6:30 somewhere. So. Set. Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order. And if I could have you stand up and join me for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. And please, if you could call roll, please.
Mr. Howe.
Here.
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Mr. Jemison.
Here.
Mr. Vanderan. Mr. Cooper.
Very good. We have 3 of our 5, so we do have a quorum. We can roll right into old business, which there is none, correct?
Correct.
All right. And that way, we'll go right into the new business, variance application 25-010. Scott, if you could take off.
So the applicant is Reverend E.L. Macon. This is for the Philippi Baptist Church. It's located at 250 West Avenue. It's a little over a half acre in size, zoned R20. They're requesting approval of 4 variances to allow for a gravel surface off-street parking area that will be on a separate lot for the use it serves and will provide no interior landscape. So the property in question here, outlined in yellow, there's East Avenue, ironically to the east, and West Avenue, ironically to the west. The Philippi Baptist Church here is just to the north, but that is on a separate property. So both properties, as I mentioned, owned by the church. The one we're interested in this evening is a little over a half acre in size. It's vacant. It has frontage on West Avenue, and then there's an unimproved right-of-way to the south. However, that does contain the driveway to the property, directly south of that right-of-way. The property, as I mentioned, to the north is owned by the church and contains the church. So the proposal is to construct a parking lot for the church, 90 by 90, paved with their used gravel, 28-foot access to West Avenue, and the setback should be 8 feet to the north, 53 feet to the east, 70 to the south, and 0 to the west. The new parking lot would have 26 parking spaces. There are 5 existing off-street parking spaces for the church along West Avenue to the north. They show shrub screening on the east and south sides. They do show a proposed light in the middle of the parking lot. They also plan to use the existing exterior lights of the church to the north. So here's a site plan, a little tough to see. So we have West Avenue here. The access would come in. Again, the church is to the north. There's the light in the middle of the parking lot, and then we'd have the proposed shrub screening on the south and east. So with the narrative, the applicant believes that the gravel better conforms to the surrounding properties, but the variance is not substantial. It would not impair the use or development of adjacent properties, would not be detrimental to public welfare, and that the spirit and intent of the zoning would be observed in granting the variances. However, they did not state that they are aware of the zoning requirement at the time they purchased the property. So going through the variances, so variance 1 says all parking areas shall be paved in asphalt, concrete, or pavers. As we know, the applicant is proposing gravel. Variance 2 says parking shall be provided on the same lot as the principal use. As we know, the parking lot will be on the property to the south of the church. Variance 3 says a minimum of 6-foot wide curved landscape islands in the parking lot separating parking area from the entrance. The applicant is proposing none. And variance 4 says interior landscape islands within the parking lot. And again, the applicant is proposing none. With the site plan, there was some additional information that we needed upon reviewing the application. For the lighting, the parking lot lighting must provide a half-foot candle at the surface and be cut off downcast fixtures to prevent glare. They show a light fixture in the middle of the parking lot, but they don't show the fixture type or the height of the light, so we'll need that information. With the striping, the parking spaces must be clearly defined. We need to know how they propose to do that. In the past, we've seen some folks use parking blocks as a way to delineate this as a parking space. Parking space dimensions are 9 by 19 with the 19-foot drive aisle. We'll need that labeled on the plan. And then the perimeter screening, we need 4 to 8 foot screening on the perimeter of the parking lot facing residential property. That's what's required by code. So on the east and south, we have the proposed shrub screening. To the north is the church, so that does not count. To the west, that does need screening. However, none is shown, so we'll need that clarified. These can be done as part of their submittal for a parking lot permit. So we can get, if this is approved and they apply for the permit, we can go through and make sure they check those boxes. If for whatever reason they cannot, they can come back and request additional variances. Public Service Department said that a right-of-way permit for the access drive would be necessary, and it is possible that they could need to install a storm culvert. No other comments from other departments or agencies. Surrounding properties are all zoned R20. To the north is the church. To the east is vacant and a single-family home. To the south is a single-family home. And to the west is vacant and a single-family home. The findings of fact, those are your staff report as well. So should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. 1, the applicant shall address all comments from the Public Service Department. And 2, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the City of Pataskala and the Licking County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any. Do y'all have any for? Okay. No. Is Reverend Macon here?
Yes.
Reverend, would you like to step up there? And I'm going to have you get sworn in to Lisa, if you could. Behind you.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Obviously, you've got a copy of this.
Name and address.
Oh, my apologies.
Sorry.
Name and address for the record, please.
Reverend Leon Macon, 250 West Avenue, on behalf of the Philippi Baptist Church.
Very good, thank you. And you've heard the presentation, probably read it also, I assume. Is there anything that you'd like to add or clarify for us?
No, there is one light, existing light, in the front of the church, right by the steps. And we had that light in the middle. And then we'd probably most likely put lights at the church next to us. They have them mounted on the side of their church, facing the parking lot. And so that's the plan for the lighting. And
Okay, as far as what we're approving tonight, it's not the lighting, but that's good that you have the plan because you're going to need to include that when you go and get the actual permit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So appreciate the feedback, though. It's just that's not what we're considering this evening. We're basically considering that one, that you would put a lot in that's not paved. It'd be the gravel. Let's see. And 2, that it's on a lot that's not a separate lot from the church.
Correct.
3, that you won't have any curbed islands within it. And that's really 3 and 4, I believe. So that's what we're looking at tonight. And just any other feedback that you have at this point or questions for us?
no, we're just ready to get started as soon as we can.
Where has your congregation been parking now?
We've been parking, there are like 6 spaces right in front of the church, and we've been parking there. And when there's kind of like more people, they've been parking on the street. We used to have a piece of land across the street, and at one time that was a parking lot,
Oh,
but it was kind of hard to get in and out, and you have to cross the street. And like a lot of other churches, we got hit during COVID. We lost a lot of our people driving out, and we went online. We do both services now, but we thought it would be better to put a parking lot right there on the,
Okay.
side of the church.
Excellent.
It'd be easy.
Any questions for the Reverend? No. Okay, sir, if you don't mind, you can go ahead and have a seat then.
Okay.
Appreciate the comments. Thank you so much. We had a similar proposal to the church that's adjacent to it, just to the north, right? A couple of years back, and we approved there. And I think in that
Mix, yeah.
the gravel was pretty much predominantly for all the homes.
That circumstance was the same,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah. Well, the difference is that it wasn't two different lots.
Mm.
Although the lots are owned by the church.
Yeah.
It's just a separate lot. If there's any other thoughts or questions, I'm gonna move right to findings of fact.
Yes, sir.
All right, findings of fact, variance application. Make sure I got the right one, 25-010. A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or if it can be a beneficial use of the property. I'm comfortable with yes on that?
Yep.
Okay. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property from being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. Yeah, the unique physical circumstance, if nothing else, is that that's two different lots.
Right.
Comfortable with A or yes?
Mhm.
C, whether the variance requested is substantial. Four variances for one lot,
Right.
I think it's substantial.
Yeah.
D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered where adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as the result of the variance. And I am comfortable that the neighborhood would not lose a lot of character. So comfortable with no. E, whether the variance if granted will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property. Again, no, it doesn't even touch or encroach on the adjacent property. F, whether the variance if granted will be detrimental to the public welfare. I see no reason why. Well, no. G, whether the variance if granted would adversely affect the delivery of government services. Say no, in fact,
Might help.
it might improve it. That's correct. H, whether the property owner purchased the subject property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. And I think I read in the narrative that they did not.
Right.
Okay, so it's a no. I, whether the owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance. In this case, I'm comfortable with no on that.
I agree.
Okay. J, whether the variance, if granted, will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirement at issue. My answer would be yes.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Okay. And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. And again, I'm comfortable with yes on that. Okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, so, findings of fact, variance application 25010, I have yes for A, B, C, J, and K, and I have no for D, E, F, G, H, and for I. That being said, any other thoughts, comments? If none, can I get a motion?
There we go. I move to approve the four variance request for variance application VA-25-010 with the following conditions. 1, applicant shall address all comments from the Public Service Department. 2, applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the City of Pataskala and the Licking County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Nope. Roll, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Jemison,
Yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes. Thank you. Reverend, variance application has been approved. You can move forward with the permitting process, I believe, on the project. And you're not You're welcome to leave. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting if you don't like. Thank you so much and good luck with the project.
Okay. Thank you.
There. Next item of new business, variance application 25011. Please.
Thank you. The applicant is Rich House. The owner is Antonio Swad. Property is located at 0 Oak Meadow Drive. It does not have an address. About 0.64 acres in total, zone multifamily. And the request is approval of a variance to allow for a reduction in the minimum lot area per dwelling unit from 4,356 per dwelling unit to 2,789 square feet per dwelling unit. I know that sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook, but essentially what that would do is increase the allowable density on the property from 6.4 units per acre to 10 units per acre. So here's the area map, the property in question outlined in yellow. We have Oak Meadow over here to the east, Dollar General, there's daycare, Washington Hardware, some homes and settlement. So I mentioned the property is 0.64 acres. It's vacant with no address. This property was recently rezoned from general business to multifamily on May 5th of this year. This was via ordinance 2025-4490. So the request, as I mentioned, is to decrease the minimum area required per dwelling unit. So essentially at 0.64, he's permitted a maximum of 6.4 dwelling units, or apartments in this case. The proposal is to reduce that minimum to allow a maximum of 10 apartments. So the site plan was provided by the applicant. It shows a 10-unit townhome development. Each townhome would have a 2-car garage and an outdoor courtyard area. It shows 6 guest parking spaces, a trash disposal unit at the rear. They show a community amenity area along Oak Meadow, which with this concept plan is a volleyball court. There will be one full access to Oak Meadow Drive, and they're proposing to utilize underground stormwater retention. It should be noted that should this variance be approved, the likely next step would be a transportation corridor overlay district application that would be reviewed and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So these plans are subject to change because there's a next step after that. So here's the plan provided with the application. We see 2 rows of 5 townhouses, access onto Oak Meadow, trash receptacle, guest parking, and community amenity area. So the applicant provided a financial analysis comparing 6 units of 3 bedrooms each. There's 10 units of 2 bedrooms each. In short, the applicant believes that the 10-unit project would increase city tax revenues, reduce the number of students and better cover per pupil education costs, and help in addressing housing shortages. The applicant was aware of the density limitation in the zoning code when purchasing the property. However, they were not aware of the financial hardship a 6-unit project would create. Essentially, according to the applicant, a 6-unit project is not financially viable. So the comprehensive plan recommends medium density mixed use, which states higher density is encouraged to support nearby retail. And the recommended density would be 5 to 10 units per acre. So the request of 10 units per acre would align with the recommendations of the comprehensive plan. The zoning inspector had a code enforcement action due to high grass that started on May 27th. It was resolved by June 3rd, so we have no problem now. Public Service said that the stormwater will be addressed with the construction plans, assuming this application is approved. They would go to the Transportation Corridor Overlay District. Assuming that's approved, then we would be in the construction plans phase. So that's when the stormwater would be addressed. He did indicate that the underground retention could occupy a large footprint. Task Utilities essentially said that the current sewer plant has available capacity for approximately 65 homes. So they can accommodate a 10-unit development. However, they cannot hold capacity as different developments and projects move through the approval process. So the capacity can only be claimed with an approved zoning permit. The sewer plant will essentially double in size, will double capacity. That will not be online until 2028. So they took a rough calculation of, okay, we have X available capacity. If this is claimed by these developments, how much do we have left? And their calculations came out to 65 homes. Nothing from any other departments or agencies. Surrounding properties, north is multifamily, which is apartments. East is general business, then multifamily, which is the Washington Hardware and apartments. South is general business, which is the daycare and dollar store. And to the west is R10, which is single family homes in the settlement. The findings of fact are also in your staff report. So should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. The maximum number of dwelling units for the property shall not exceed 10, and the applicant shall submit a transportation corridor overlay district application pursuant to chapter 1259 of the Pataskala Code within 1 year of the date of approval. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
What we're considering right now is just reducing the number of square feet so that we can put more units on, so it can increase it to 10 units per acre.
That's correct. Essentially, the request would allow a maximum of 10 units on the property.
So-
That's the request. Instead of 6.4, they're looking for 10.
Well, I'm kind of maybe it's a typo here because it says the lot acreage is 0.64 acres.
Yes,
And so if it's 0.64 acres, you wouldn't be able to put 10 units on it.
that's why we're doing the variance.
But the variance will allow 10 units per acre,
Yes.
and the lot's not even an acre.
I understand what we're saying.
Maybe I'm confusing myself.
Calculations and work through this, it would allow 10 units on that property,
Okay,
and that's the request.
okay. So realistically, it would allow per acre more than 10, but it doesn't have an acre to work with.
Correct.
Okay.
Scott, the underground, detention could occupy a large footprint. That has something to do with the drainage and all that. That's gotta happen no matter what, right? Whether it be
Correct.
6 or 10.
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions? Any other questions for Scott?
Is there somebody here?
Okay, is someone here for this? Okay, if you could step up, please, and get sworn in from Lisa.
We swear or affirm accessory is true, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
And if I could get your name and address for the record.
My name is Richard Hauk. Address is 572 East Broad Street, number 330, Pataskala.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hawk, you've heard the presentation, and of course, you've obviously done a lot of work to get it to this point, I'm sure. Is there anything that you'd like to clarify or add?
I guess regarding the water retention, so whether there's 6 or 10 units, I will need to retain water on the site. And part of the variance application, kind of what I was getting at a bit in here is that if it's above ground with 6 units, that's going to require a retention pond of around 25 to 30 feet across, 3 or 4 feet. And then if we do a denser project at 10 units, that would be underground retention. So kind of trading off for what would be surface use is normally set aside for water retention would be underground. And I think the other thing I wanted to, I guess, just clarify was about the footprint. If it's 6 units, if I have 6 units currently, that going to 3 bedrooms apiece compared to 10 units at 2 bedrooms, it occupies roughly the same building footprint. Essentially, we wanted to do something nicer than apartments. They were going to be 3-story townhomes. And that's kind of what the variance is for, to make it a little bit more dense at trading off underground retention and nicer quality townhomes.
Understand. Okay, and you are the applicant, but you're not the owner, so you have a partner in this?
So that's my uncle. Yes, sir. He's my partner, and we're building these together. And then eventually they'll transfer to me once they're built and rented. It's kind of helping me build it and doing the construction finance part of it.
And these are for potentially for townhomes, for rental
For
purposes?
rental.
Any questions for Mr. Huck?
Can you address the, what was it? It would reduce the number of students. Where's that rationale coming from?
Oh, sure. So there was a chart attached. I'm not sure if you have it or not in the original application, but what that calculation looked at was the number of primary bedrooms versus secondary bedrooms in a 6-unit project with a total of 18 bedrooms versus a 10-unit project with 2 bedrooms each. So if you do, if you look at the number of average adults and children per family, you would end up with more children in the school district with 6 units at 3 bedrooms as compared to 10 units at 2 bedrooms each.
It's 18 bedrooms compared to 20.
Correct.
I don't know where that math
It's
is.
not logical.
Oh, well, it's, okay, so if you had essentially 12 bedrooms for children instead of 10, so with fewer units, you end up having more bedrooms, secondary bedrooms compared to 10. I think if there was had the chart, it would make a lot more sense.
Well, I see what you're trying to get at. And then the housing shortage, that's referencing what?
The comprehensive
The
plan.
comprehensive plan?
Yes, sir.
That's all I needed.
Anything else from Mr. Huck? Okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
There is a unit right to the north of it. I think the adjacent lot is already apartments. I think it was kind of fit into that neighborhood area.
Is there anybody else here to speak on this?
That's a good question. Is there anybody else for this variance? Nope. I don't have any other speaker reports for any, actually. I don't know, thoughts?
There's apartments north and north, east,
North and north,
behind the, well, I think those are apartments behind them.
oh, behind the hardware.
Hardware.
Yep, you're right. But they were all, at least the ones immediately north of it, was built before these zoning laws. So the density was a little bit different, but there are quite a few units there. I counted what I thought at least 10.
And 6 secondary parking spots. It's going to be occupied, to say the least, I would imagine.
Say that again?
6, there's only 6 guest, 6 visitor
Oh,
parking
in addition.
spots.
That would, but that, we're not approving any variance on the parking.
Unit density.
So that would have to be addressed in their final permits and proposal.
Yeah.
Then if you're comfortable, go right to findings of fact. All right. Variance application 25-011. Findings of fact. A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return or if there can be a beneficial use of the property. Obviously, it's vacant now, that would definitely have a return. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances and conditions that prohibit the property from being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations, such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. I don't see any unique physical circumstances. Comfortable with now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, C, whether the variance requested is substantial, going from 6 to 10 units, so it's less than 50%, so
Mhm.
by our standards, we put no.
Mhm.
D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered, or the adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. I think we established with the other units, close proximity, that it would not be altered.
This is 3 stories.
This is 3.
Mhm.
But, going to make a substantial difference there.
My input is yes.
Okay, I'm still comfortable with no. What's your thoughts? You're the
I'm the
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker?
Yeah. Pressure's on you. Mhm.
Hmm.
But we'd like to solve this tonight.
Do we know what the overall height of the building is?
Don't think that's in here. I doubt it anyway.
We don't until,
TCOD.
correct.
I'll just say yes, just because.
Okay, yes, carries it. There you go. E, whether the variance, if granted, will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property. Again, it's not encroaching on the other property. We know whether the variance, if granted, will be detrimental to the public welfare.
Should have any effect.
Say no. G, whether the variance, if granted, would adversely affect the delivery of government services. Again, no. No. Whether the property owner purchased subject property with knowledge of the restriction, he testified, and it's in our packet that he did know of that. Whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance.
Yes.
Yes, you could obviously build it to code. J, whether the variance if granted will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirement at issue. I mean, if they want to move to 10, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
If we didn't do any variance at all, it would be no. So
Right.
I'm going to say yes, just because he's trying to
Yeah.
go for 10. And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting this variance. I'm comfortable with yes on that.
I'm a no on that.
Okay, you're on another tiebreaker.
I'm going to say yes on this one.
You said yes on the last one. All right, yes is the answer.
He's a yes man.
All right, yes, ma'am. Okay, variance application 25-011, findings of fact, I have yes for A, D, H, I, J, and for K, and no for B, C, E, F, and for G. That being said, would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve a variance from section 1239.05B of the Pataskala Code for variance application VA-25-011 with the following conditions: that the maximum number of dwelling units for this property shall not exceed 10, and that the applicant shall submit a transportation corridor overlay district application pursuant to section 1259 of the Pataskala Code within 1 year of the date of approval.
Thank you. Got a motion? Can I get a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll please.
Mr. Jemison,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
No.
Mr. Howe,
I'm the tiebreaker. I'm going to say yes. So we do have yes for variance application 25-0011. Mr. Hauk, it's been accepted, and good luck for the next steps of the project. Okay. Thank you. All right, moving forward, variance application 25-012.
Thank you. This is Michaela Evans. She's our new city planner. After Jack was promoted to senior planner, she took over his former position, so she'll be presenting this application this evening.
Welcome, Michaela.
The applicant and owner for this property is Vadim Shapolsky. The location is 150 Brianna Lane Southwest. It is just a little over a half acre in size. zoned R20, and the request is a variance to allow for 2 gravel driveways. So this is the area map for the property. It's bordered by Brianna Lane to the south and East Avenue to the east, and is generally just surrounded by houses. So, as mentioned, it's a little bit over a half acre in size. It's lot 152A of the Blanches East Broad Street Edition. It's currently occupied by an 1,800 square foot house constructed in 2024. The permit for that included 1 paved driveway and 1 driveway stub of unnamed material, no dimensions for that. And also constructed on the property was a shed in 2024 with no permit. So as mentioned, the 2024 residential construction permit included a paved driveway that on Brianna Lane, 64 feet long, 12 feet wide at the right of way, and 23 feet wide at the garage, and an existing driveway stub of unspecified material on East Avenue. What was actually constructed was a gravel driveway on Brianna Lane, the same location as the paved driveway, about 64 feet long, 13 feet wide at the right of way, and 20 feet wide at the garage. And an existing driveway stub was extended towards the house in gravel about 110 feet long, 16 feet wide, and there was no permit for the extension. And then again, a shed was also constructed on the property with no permit. This is the close-up site map of the property. So down here in yellow was the approved paved driveway that's currently gravel that lets out on Brianna Lane. In red is the approved driveway stub that was extended towards the house in gravel. The original driveway stub was only approved to be about to where the red arrow is. And then the orange arrow points to the unapproved shed. So this would be a variance from 1291.02A4, requiring that all driveways in a platted subdivision must be paved with asphalt, concrete, or pavers. This requirement provides driveways that are durable and meet the requirements of the city engineer, but many properties in the Blanches subdivision do not meet this requirement. The applicant believes that the requested variance would not compromise the essential character of the neighborhood, believes the request is not substantial, does not believe the request would be detrimental to the public welfare, does not believe the request would adversely affect delivery of government service, and the applicant was made aware of zoning restrictions in the process of obtaining approval for the house. The applicant has applied for a variance from section 1291.02A4 to allow for both driveways to remain gravel. The driveway on Brianna Lane was installed contrary to what was approved in the residential construction permit, and the driveway on East Avenue Southwest was extended without a permit. The zoning inspector said that the new residential construction, they had a new residential construction permit issued May 31st, 2024. A inspection and certificate of compliance was due on May 31st, 2025. Those have not been requested or completed yet. And the shed and driveway extension have not received permits, and the code enforcement process has begun on those as of this meeting. No other comments from other departments or agencies were received. The properties generally, all the properties surrounding it are also zoned R20 and are occupied by single-family homes. Here are the findings of facts. You can also see them in your staff report. And should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala within 1 year of the date of approval, and the applicant shall address all comments from the planning and zoning department. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Pretty straightforward for me.
Any questions, Rebecca? Go. Okay, is Mr. Shapovsky here?
Yeah.
Would you step up, please?
testimony about the case is true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
And can I get your name and address for the record?
Vadim Shapofsky, 150 Brianna Lane Southwest, Pataskala, Ohio, 43062.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Sapowski, you've heard the presentation. Is there anything that you'd like to clarify or add to that?
No, that was very well presented.
Okay, so I guess my question is, your plans that you submitted to build the home, couple questions. You're living in it now? Is the home occupied now?
No, not yet.
Okay,
It's under, I haven't got a permit of occupancy.
gotcha. So your expectations were to have one driveway into the south side, front of the house, I guess, is that right? Why, or what happened that made it change?
The driveway is still existing in the front, and there was a culvert with a yellow gate in the back as well. And so that the concrete trucks could get in during the construction process and go around the house without getting stuck in the mud, we ended up, I ended up spreading some gravel down in the back of the driveway so that the concrete trucks could get in. There's also a big oak tree that's in the way. It's still existing. And it was just for the ease of construction purposes and parking.
And your plan is to keep that, both driveways?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay,
It's a corner lot. When I went to, forgot the guy's name, he's directly across the street from planning. He does the right-of-way permit. He said since the culvert was already existing in both areas, because I didn't do anything with the culverts, and the material was compacted, but it was overgrown with grass, so I ended up putting a fresh layer of gravel there for the concrete trucks. I didn't need a permit since there was no work to be done in the right of way.
okay. And you're aware now of the need for a permit for the shed?
It's less than 200 square feet. I was under the impression that I did not need a permit for the shed.
That would be the building permit. You'll still need a zoning permit for the shed.
Okay. I'm planning to remove it.
Okay, and next steps, we can discuss this will be removed and permit timing for the other thing. We can discuss that, but we noticed that, want to make sure you're aware at this meeting that it required a permit. If you're planning to remove it, we can discuss timeframes in the future.
Okay. But it still needs, if I'm gonna, move it over to the neighbor, give it to the neighbor or something.
They would need the permit.
They would need the permit. Okay.
Wherever it's gonna end up.
Correct.
So regardless of size, it still needs a permit?
Correct.
Okay.
A zoning permit.
Okay.
Building is regulated by the size. That's their determining factor. Ours is if you have a shed.
Okay, I see. Okay. I'll stop by and we'll discuss for the shed.
Any questions for Mr. Shapovsky?
That's
Right?
correct, yeah.
No, sir. Okay, sir, thank you. Go ahead and have a seat then.
Sorry, quick question. Again,
Sure.
you said that my permit for the house expired on May 31st?
Yes.
So I need an extension now
Yes, we can give an extension, a maximum of 6 months.
of 6 months?
Yeah.
I'm already installing kitchen cabinets, so it should be done within 2 weeks.
That's, again, I think knowing what we know with moving the shed and then kind of where we are with the residential certificate of compliance, which depending upon the variance, if we need to amend the site plan. So there's a lot of moving parts. And I think once we have, a decision rendered this evening, we'll kind of know a path forward.
Okay.
And it's probably best to come in, and I know you've met with Jack in the past, and kind of go over what you plan to do, and then we can go over options on, timing, and here's what you need to do to achieve that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's
Thank you. Any other comments? No? Questions? Thank you, sir. Okay. He's getting close to getting it done, which is kind of exciting. There's no other comments or question or conversation, and move right to findings of fact.
Yes, sir.
Variance application 25012. Findings of fact, A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return or there can be a beneficial use of the property. Obviously, having a home built on it is a big improvement for that property. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property from being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. I think no. I mean, obviously, it could be just the front driveway. Right. Okay. No for B. C, whether the variance requested is substantial. It's basically adding a second driveway, so it'd be 100% add. So it would be yes. D, whether the variance or whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered, or adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as the result of the variance. And again, most homes, most of the homes are gravel driveways there. I'm going to say no on that. And there were no comments.
Right.
E, whether the variance if granted will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property. Again, it's not approaching, so it'd be no. F, whether the variance if granted will be detrimental to the public welfare. Again, any effect to that? Nope. Negative, I don't see. So no for that. G, whether the variance, if granted, would adversely affect the delivery of government services. No. Whether the property owner purchased the subject with knowledge of the zoning restriction. I think we asked that question.
Yeah, but I think it said in it that he was informed when he was getting the permit for the house.
Okay, so we'll say yes.
Yes.
Okay. I, whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance. Obviously, they could landscape over that driveway.
Right.
So we could say yes. J, whether the variance if granted will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirement at issue. And the way everything is now, with it already there, I'd have to say yes.
Yes.
Okay. And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting it. I'm also comfortable with yes on that. Okay. So variance application 25012, I have yes for A, C, H, I, J, and for K. And I have no for B, D, E, F, and for G. Findings of fact are complete. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve a variance from section 1291.02A4 for variance application VA-25-012 with the following conditions. That the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala within 1 year of the date of approval, and that the applicant shall address all comments from the planning and zoning department.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Can I get a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll please.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Mr. Jemison,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shapovsky, variance application has been approved. Good luck finishing the house. Hopefully you'll be moving in soon, I'm sure. Thank you. And you're welcome to leave. You don't have to stay. All right. Okay, so moving to the next page of the agenda, variance application 25-013, please.
Thank you. The applicant is Phyllis Baldwin. The owner is Phyllis and Robert Baldwin, located at 6320 Main Street, half acre in size, zone R87. So the request is for a total of 7 variances. 4 to allow for a RV to be defined as a dwelling unit. 1 to allow for 2 dwelling units on the same property. 1 to allow for reduced minimum dwelling unit size, and 1 to allow for reduced side yard setbacks. So here's the property in question, Main Street to the east, the subject property outlined in yellow here. So So the property, 6320 Main Street, has a single-family home that's almost 2,500 square feet in size, constructed in 1997. There's also a concrete block building in the backyard that is almost 1,200 square feet that was constructed in 1998. The backyard is enclosed with a 6-foot fence, and the access to the property is via Main Street. It should also be noted the applicant owns the property directly to the north, 6312 Main Street. So the request, as we mentioned, is to allow for a recreational vehicle to remain as a dwelling unit. Currently, the RV is 8 by 40 feet, so 320 square feet in size. Located behind the existing home, setback from the north property line 4 feet, and setback from the south property line 16 feet. So in the narrative, there are 3 RVs identified on the property. The one in the driveway is used as an RV. The one north of the home is used as storage, and then there's one to the rear of the home used as a dwelling. The applicant stated they were unaware of the zoning restriction when the property was purchased. They did not believe it will alter the character of the neighborhood or would be substantial. So here's the site plan provided by the applicant. So he mentioned there were RVs on the property. There's one in the driveway. That RV is used as an RV. There's one to the north of the house that used for storage. The one highlighted in yellow to the rear of the house is the dwelling unit, which is a discussion of our variance application this evening. Then there was one in the backyard that has since been removed. And then also, as I mentioned, they own the property directly to the north. That would be this house. So in the narrative, the applicant states that the variance is necessary as there's no space for their child. They used an RV as a bedroom, and the daily needs such as cooking, bathing, etc., are met in the house. So there's the child that resides in the RV is the primary character for the 3 children who reside within the principal structure of the home. And it's important that the child who resides in the RV is on site. And again, they do own the property, the home to the north, and they stated that this will be used by the applicant's father-in-law that is relocating due to some health concerns. So planning and zoning will go through kind of the variance requests now. So chapter 1203 is definitions. Essentially, they will not meet 4 definitions, and essentially those state that you can't use an RV as a dwelling due to its transient nature and the fact that it doesn't have permanent items for sleeping, cooking, sanitation, etc. So those are 4 variances. The other variance, 122901, that's only 1 dwelling unit. In the R87 zoning district, they're requesting 2. The other one would require minimum 25-foot side yard setbacks. So there's variances here. We're counting them as 1 for the application, but to the north, 4 feet is proposed. So that would be a 21-foot reduction or 84% decrease. To the south is a 16-foot proposed. That would be a 9-foot reduction or 36% decrease. The other variance would be minimum living space for any new dwelling without a basement. The minimum square footage is 1450. As opposed, that would be 320 square foot. That would be a 1,130 square foot reduction, or about 78%. And the other variance under the same section, dwelling units must be a minimum of 24 by 24 feet. The RV is 8 feet by 40 feet, so it would be a 16-foot reduction, or a little over 66%. Like I said, since these are in the same section, this is counting as 1 variance. So if this application is approved, the next step would be to get a new residential permit and certificate of compliance. So if the BZA determines that the planning and zoning department can view this as a dwelling unit, that would be required. That's the permit required for any new home within the city. So determined to be a dwelling unit, we would treat it as such and require the permits for that. As part of that, we would want to make sure that the health department is okay, that the Licking County Building Department is okay, and they would be also required to pay impact fees, which is a requirement for any new home constructed within the city. So the zoning inspector, a little history on this. This came to his attention via a complaint on April 22nd. Essentially, there was no certificate of compliance to occupy this as a dwelling unit, which we couldn't issue without the variances. So as part of the code enforcement process, there was a notice of April 23rd, May 13th, May 27th, and pending the results of this hearing tonight, the violation is on hold. No other comments from departments or agencies. Surrounding properties, R87, all single-family homes. There are the findings of fact. They're also listed in your staff report. And should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits, including payment of the impact fee, from the city of Pataskala and Lincoln County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff?
I'm good, Scott.
I don't think I have any either. Is Ms. Baldwin? Is that right? Would you like to come up?
Please swear and affirm the testimony about this is true, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, thank you.
And can I get your name and address, please?
Phyllis Baldwin, 6320 Mink Street Southwest, Pataskala.
Thank you. And you heard the staff presentation, and did anything you want to clarify or add or correct?
We got that, my daughter relocated from Tennessee because I need her out here. We're active duty. Husband got orders. He's leaving again, and anytime after October, he's gonna be gone all of August for annual training. And then he's got orders, he's gotta leave for the next 12 to 24 months. I have full custody of my stepkids. There's 3 of them, all autistic. One's nonverbal, one's with a learning disability, the other one's autism hyperactivity. So my daughter was gonna relocate out here so that she could kind of help be my lifeline, my support when I'm on my own. So we don't have an extra bedroom. She's 22, so we set the camper there. She comes in the house for everything. Bathroom, shower, eating, cooking, laundry. It's just basically right outside the back of the house for her to go have some space.
Mhm.
So we weren't trying to do anything illegal. I just needed a place for her to be to help.
Understand. And the property to the north that you purchased?
Yes, and before we knew, the Army gave orders for him to go. My elderly father-in-law, who's got health issues, was going to be moving into the house so we could help take care of him. So I got 3 kids and an old man that's cranky as all get out that's going to be needing help being taken care of. So my daughter being on the property is very important to me, so she can be there to help when I'm on my own here for the next year or 2.
Understand. Okay, thank you. Any questions from Ms. Baldwin?
I'm just curious, is there any other type of relief that you've explored for the circumstances?
I mean, we're with Department of Disabilities and stuff, but with being Army, we have every 4 years have to move. So
Yeah.
there's really not, that's why my daughter was coming back to be that support system. I mean, and we do okay. And when she's there to help, but I just need her there to help,
Totally understand.
you
Yeah.
know, it's, but we make it work. We get through.
Okay, thank you.
It's a little crazy, but I guess it's my circus and my monkeys, so.
Anything else from Ms. Baldwin?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any feedback from local citizens or neighbors?
No.
You're welcome to sit down. if you'd
Thank
like. Thank you. Discussion.
This reminds me of about 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. And someplace was not too far from there.
Mhm.
Remember it.
I think it's the other side of Vancouver.
Right, other side of Broad.
Yeah.
Okay. And it seems like 7 variances for. All right, why don't we move to findings of fact? Variance application 25-013A. Whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or if there can be a beneficial use of the property. I think that would, of course, be yes.
Mhm.
Obviously, there'd be a use. Whether unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations such as a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. Physically, I don't see any circumstances that would prevent
Right.
property. So I'm going to say no. See whether the variance requested is substantial, and it's 7 variances, some of them high.
Yeah.
Certainly yes. D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered, or adjoining properties would suffer substantial detriment as a result of the variance. My understanding is they're on all 4 sides, it's surrounded by residential, so I'd have to say yes, it would.
You have to, yeah.
D would be yes. E, whether the variance of granted will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use of development of adjacent property. Again, I don't see any negative effect on that. Comfortable with no?
Good.
Yes, sir.
F, whether the variance of granted will be detrimental to the public welfare. I don't see why it would be.
No.
G, whether the variance of granted would adversely affect the delivery of government services. Can't think of what negatively would be.
Right. I agree.
So I'm comfortable with no on that.
Okay.
Whether the whether the property owner purchased the property, subject property with knowledge of their zoning restriction. I think she testified that she didn't know. There was a problem there. So no. I, whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance. I think I'd see some other method of variance. I think it could be just go to code and not do that.
Yeah.
So I would be yes. J, whether the variance if granted will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirements at issue. Considering the current setup, definitely would represent the least modification because we keep it as is. Whether represent the minimum variance, I don't know. It's kind of a, what's your thoughts on that?
Jay?
Yeah. Certainly it has the least modification, but if granted represent the minimum variance, I'm gonna have to say no on that. I just think that it's a lot of variances for one.
Yeah.
So, yeah or no?
Okay. I'm with you.
Yes.
Okay. K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting this variance.
I would also have to say yes.
I'm sorry,
I would also have to say yes.
your thoughts?
Yes.
Okay, yes, it is. So we've got variance application 25013. Yes, for A, C, D, I, and for K. And no for B, E, F, G, H, and or J. Any other thoughts at this point? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the variance request for variance application VA-25-013 with the following condition. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits, including payment of the impact fee from the city of Pataskala and Licking County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. And discussion. And if none additional, we'll go right to vote. Lisa?
Mr. Colvin,
Yes.
Mr. Jennison,
Yes.
Mr. Howe.
No. Yes, will carry. Motion did carry, so you're able to keep on with the conditions we had put in, so you can move forward. Very good.
Good luck to you,
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
your husband as well, and the family.
That's right. Thank you for the service. Okay, so we have got, and you won't have to stay any longer tonight if you don't want to. Findings of fact. Let me go right to findings of fact.
So what do I need to do? Do I need to go back and talk to?
Scott, can you help?
Yeah, so we will send a letter out this week essentially stating, here's what happened at the variance application, and then somebody from the planning and zoning department will be in touch with you about the next step.
So she's allowed to stay in her camper.
For now, yes, but we'll need to make sure that we get the permitting and everything squared away. So
Right.
She can stay in there for now.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving on. I'd like to go ahead and move that we accept the findings of fact of variance application 25-010 as discussed earlier. And second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes?
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Jemison?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to accept the variance, findings of fact for variance application 25-011 as discussed earlier.
And I'll second that.
And a second, any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. Thank you. To go ahead and make a motion to accept the findings of fact for variance application 25-012 as presented earlier. Second,
Second.
and discussion. Roll, please.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Jemison?
Yes.
Thank you. Findings of fact, variance application 25-012 accepted. I'd like to make a motion to accept the findings of fact for variance application 25-013 as discussed a few minutes ago. Second, motion and a second. Any discussion? And roll.
Mr. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Thank you. Findings of fact, variance application 25-013 are accepted. Let's move on to what I do here. There we go. I'd like to make a motion to accept or excuse the absence of Mr. Coleman from our May 13th meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
And discussion? Roll?
Mr. Coleman?
Staying.
Mr. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Coleman, you've been excused from our May meeting.
My apologies.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to excuse the absence of Mr. Jemison from our May 13th regular meeting. Can I get a second? Second. And motion and a second. Any discussion? And roll, please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Jemison. Obviously, your excuse of absence has been approved. All right. Man, tripping over my own tongue. Okay. I can make a motion to approve the minutes of our May 13th meeting as presented. Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. And today is, okay. 10. I knew that. Any other additional business for the board?
No, sir.
I do have one thing that I'd like to bring up, that next month is the month that I cannot make it. So I just want to put that on the table at this point.
And then is this your last meeting, Mr.
Yes.
Jemison?
Yes.
Are you available next month?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Okay, perfect. So we'll need these two gentlemen.
Oh. I'd like to go ahead and thank Mr. Jemison
Thank you.
on record for his service and wish you luck moving forward.
It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other business for the board? Then I'd like to move to adjourn to the next meeting, which will be July 8th. July 8th. Maybe I can make it. Second. Got a second? Any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Howe,
Yes,
Mr. Joseph,
Yes.
Mr. Colvin.
Yes.
I might be able to make it. As long as I think it was later.